And what do you think would be the implications of Haniyeh's death to the Hamas group?
The implications are large. Going back to the ceasefire, you have a situation where Israel absolutely 1000% wants its hostages.
From Jakarta, Indonesia.
New York's human-trafficking crisis. Tension flare after the assassinations of senior Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, burying war victims in backyard on Ukraine Eastern Front.
And live of the updates powered by VOA, Voice of America.
New York ranks fourth in the U.S. for human trafficking cases, according to the National Human Trafficking Resource Center, and the authority says that the number have grown with the recent increase on undocumented migrants in the city.
Laura Mullen, a survivor of human trafficking, greets city officials in the Bronx at a recent event, highlighting the plight of trafficking victims. She was trafficked in 2014.
I was at a local 7-Eleven. I was really down and out. I was addicted to drugs. And at the time, this person came up and basically just offered me a shower. And it was that little thing of saying, hey, you look like you're hungry. Do you need to take a shower? That led me to his home, eventually locked into his basement, where I had to struggle to escape.
Laura was offered food and a chance to freshen up. But then she was offered drugs and coerced into sex. Her ordeal lasted 5 years, during which she was too afraid to report her trafficker.
I was afraid of turning to the cops because I was worried about being criminalized for what I was doing, because we know that it's not legal and doing drugs is not legal.
In 2019, Mullen was arrested on drug charges. A non-profit, ECLI Vibes, helped her start a new life after her release. She became an advocate against human trafficking. Advocates like Mullen work to combat trafficking in New York City, noting an increase in cases with the influx of undocumented migrants whom traffickers exploit. Advocates say victims often have no job, no family or support network, don't know the laws, and don't speak the language.
New immigrants are hitting the mark on many of these factors, are acutely vulnerable. And for many of them, their benefits are running out. They're being kicked out of shelters, which they were originally given when they arrived. They don't have any ability to make a living in the economy here locally.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams says the city is working to combat the problem, but needs federal funding and changes in labor law.
We have to stop ignoring the problem. We see what's happening because of the migrants and asylum seekers' inability to work. Many of these young ladies are turning to terrible means to support their family. The way we stop human trafficking is, number one, go after those who are carrying out the act, and number two, give people the dignity to work. If we allow people to work, they won't have to do illegal things.
Advocates caution that not all victims of trafficking are migrants.
Actually, in New York, the vast majority of sex trafficking victims are U.S.-born women and girls. So, and they have histories of adverse childhood experiences, homelessness, foster care, residencies, dysfunctional families. They were sex trafficked, or they are sex trafficked as children.
Trafficking survivor Laura Mullen adds that everyone has a role to play.
Just please keep your eyes and ears open and just know that it's out there. And if you see something, say something.
Anshuman Apte, VOA News, New York City.
Senior Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated by an overnight strike in Tehran, Iran capital. Iran is blaming Israel for Haniyeh's death. Asked about Haniyeh's killing, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the U.S. did not have any information on Haniyeh's assassination and how it could impact ceasefire effort between Hamas and Israel. Though Israel had pledged to kill Haniyeh and other Hamas leaders who masterminded the October 7 attack on southern Israel that sparked the war in Gaza, anticipating a retaliatory strike from Iran, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Iran against retaliatory strikes.
What do you think would be the implications of Haniyeh's death to the Hamas group?
The implications are large. Going back to the ceasefire, you have a situation where Israel absolutely 1000% wants its hostages back. And you have a situation where Hamas's military leadership is being decimated. So right now, unfortunately, the only leverage that Hamas has are the hostages. So what's the incentive? So that's the question here. I know for a fact that the United States wants this war to end. I know that for a fact.
And,
But
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Esther, go ahead.
Well, how does this new development then, impact the negotiations that were ongoing for a ceasefire and also for the release of the hostages?
I won't sugarcoat it. It's complicated. It was complicated before this happened. And I just kind of want to frame this for people that we're talking about what happened to Haniyeh. And as I'm sitting here right now, I still don't think that Israel has claimed that assassination. Now, right before that, Israel did claim killing Hezbollah's number 2 because of an attack that killed 12 Israeli children. So it's this constant back and forth, this cycle of retaliation. And to my mind, that is what needs to stop. It's a combination of making sure the hostages get back safely, that there is some level of a ceasefire, in this constant back and forth retaliation. It's just, it's not solving anything. If anything, it's making things worse.
And do you think there'll be an escalation of this kind of situation when we already have the Middle East is already at war, Israel and the Hamas group? Do you see that affecting, the larger global community?
Iran is angry. Haniyeh was killed during the inauguration of their president. So symbolically, not just tactically, but symbolically, Iran is feeling incredibly bruised. So I can't sit here and speak for what Iran may do. We've seen what they are capable of doing, when they launched the attack. And who's to say that they won't continue with something very similar? I don't know. I can't speak for what their military tactical plans may or may not be. But we do have evidence that they are capable of retaliating. And I'm just hoping that cooler heads will prevail to jump in and to really strategically stop this constant cycle of retaliation. Because, like I said before, that isn't going to solve any problems in the region. It's just going to exacerbate the already chaotic situation.
About 500 remaining residents live under constant Russian shelling in Chasiv Yard in Ukraine Donetsk regions. Locals lack basic humanitarian aid and water, and those killed are buried in the backyard.
И, как обычно...
Пищу привозят или нет? Или только вот так волонтеры?
Волонтеры привозят.
Волонтеры привозят?
Иногда. Стали редко привозить.
Угу.
Сюда страшно ездить.
Приезжайте, Николай. В огороде копают что? Могилки.
Могилки?
У нас человек.
Человек умер? От старости или...
Нет, он болел очень здорово, он был в больнице. Все, Ромчик знает, мэр города знает все.
Все знают?
Все знают.
Это вы прям в огороде?
Что делать? Всех так огонь.
А где-то на кладбище, не?
А как туда доставить его?
А как туда доставить? Нету транспорта.
В Часовом Яре все еще проживают около 500 гражданских. И это неправда, что люди не выезжают. Я помню, еще месяца 2 назад тут проживало в 2 раза больше людей, но по мере того, как увеличиваются обстрелы и плотность огня тоже увеличивается, люди все-таки пытаются как-то эвакуироваться.
Кому-то же надо и работать. Вот сегодня уже было 2 перевязки.
Раненым?
Да. Кровоточащий, у одного ожог, вся поверхность.
Зараз багато говорять про мирні переговори.
Так.
Як ви до цього ставитесь?
Ну, я баптист-пацифіст з першого дня за мир.
The voice of America, VOA. It's easier not to be wise.
My name is Mirzawardana. See you soon on MLN Top 3 Updates powered by VOA, Voice of America.